While the entire sports world was relentlessly mocking a single preseason pass across social media, the Cleveland Browns quietly completed a roster transaction that completely changes the narrative behind closed doors. Most fans glanced at the transaction wire and dismissed it as standard August camp movement. But when you examine the exact timing, an entirely different reality emerges. This roster move took place at the very instant Shedeur Sanders was prepared to step onto the field for his debut career start against the formidable Buffalo Bills defense. At that exact same moment, an ex-NFL quarterback went into the film room, isolated the footage of that viral interception everyone was laughing at, and broke it down frame by frame more than 30 times. What the tape exposed completely flips the story on its head and proves that the public conversation is missing the most vital piece of physical evidence. Before we uncover what was hiding on that game film, I want you to drop a single word in the comments below. Comment real if you believe Shedeur has the talent to claim this franchise, or comment fake if you think the hype is completely manufactured. Lock in your choice right now, because the deeper details of this situation will change how you view this entire quarterback battle.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
When the notification crossed the wire that the Cleveland Browns officially signed tight end German Terrill II while releasing Brandon Bates with an injury settlement, it seemed like the most mundane personnel move of the summer. Across all 32 franchises in August, dozens of undrafted players cycle in and out of locker rooms every single afternoon as coaching staffs try to manage practice workloads. Terrill came into the league out of Oregon State as an undrafted free agent, spent a short stretch with the New York Giants, and was ultimately waived with an injury settlement before he ever had the chance to take a live snap in a regular season contest. To the casual observer scanning a social media feed, this looked like an entirely interchangeable transaction that would have zero bearing on the upcoming season. However, in professional football, transactions do not occur in an isolated vacuum. The timing of a roster addition often tells a much louder story than the name on the back of the jersey. Front offices do not bring an unheralded tight end in for a private midweek workout, process a physical examination, clear a valuable roster spot, and hand him a playbook unless they have identified a specific tactical vulnerability that requires an immediate physical solution. Terrill is not a converted slot receiver who avoids physical contact in the trenches. He is a massive, broad-shouldered tight end who specializes in hand-to-hand combat at the line of scrimmage, setting a firm perimeter edge in the ground attack, and utilizing his extensive frame to shield defensive backs in contested short-range passing windows. To understand why this specific physical profile was prioritized, you must evaluate the defensive front Cleveland is about to face. Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills run a defensive system that is notoriously hostile toward young, inexperienced quarterbacks. They do not sit back in predictable coverages and allow a passer to settle into an easy rhythm. Instead, they disguise their safety rotations, show simulated pressure packages at the line of scrimmage, and send dynamic edge rushers on wide angles designed to collapse the edges of the pocket instantly. When an offensive coaching staff is preparing a young quarterback for that level of defensive hostility, they cannot rely on standard pass protection. They must physically reinforce the perimeter of the formation. Adding a heavy-bodied tight end who can align on the edge of the line of scrimmage directly counteracts the specific ways Buffalo attacks young passers. It allows the offensive coordinator to utilize heavier 12 personnel packages featuring 2 tight ends. This operational look creates multiple schematic advantages. It forces the defense to keep heavier personnel on the field, which reduces the complexity of their pass coverage shells, while simultaneously providing an extra pass blocker to secure the edge. Furthermore, On critical third down situations where the defense brings exotic blitz packages, a big tight end serves as an immediate safety outlet. He provides a massive target who can box out smaller defensive backs and catch contested passes, even if the ball placement is slightly off target due to incoming pressure. This level of operational insight is the exact reason why dedicated football fans make Gridiron Ground their absolute priority for authentic football analysis. While mainstream television networks rely on cheap hot takes and surface-level highlights to generate outrage, here on Gridiron Ground, we dig straight into the actual operational strategies and roster mechanics that decide games long before kickoff. If you want to elevate your understanding of the game and see the real picture before the rest of the sports world catches up, take a quick second right now to hit the subscribe button and join the growing community here at Gridiron Ground. The acquisition of Terrill is a direct structural investment in providing Shedeur with every conceivable advantage heading into a hostile defensive matchup. It demonstrates that the coaching staff is actively designing an infrastructure capable of protecting him against a complex pass rush while giving him dependable underneath options. Rather than treating this upcoming start as a routine exhibition, the organization is making targeted personnel adjustments specifically suited to the tactical demands of the opponent. Yet while the front office and coaching staff were quietly putting these structural pieces in place, the rest of the football universe was completely distracted by a single errant throw that had just set the internet on fire. The clip began circulating across every major digital platform within minutes of hitting the live broadcast. Shedeur Sanders took the shotgun snap, performed a rhythmic three-step drop, planted his back foot, and unleashed a pass toward the boundary that sailed harmlessly over the intended target directly into the chest of a waiting defender. It was the exact type of visual play that instantly triggers the social media outrage machine. Within an hour, the highlight had accumulated millions of views, accompanied by mocking captions and dismissive commentary claiming that this single throw was definitive proof that the young quarterback was utterly unprepared for the speed and precision required in the National Football League. When a play looks that visibly bad in real time, the public reaction is almost entirely predictable. The pass was noticeably off target. The defender did not have to make any extraordinary athletic adjustment to secure the turnover, and the mistake was logged into the statistical ledger as a catastrophic error. For the vast majority of fans and casual commentators, the evaluation process begins and ends with that visual outcome. The quarterback threw a pass to the wrong team, therefore the quarterback made a terrible decision and failed the execution test.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
However, evaluating quarterback mechanics at the highest level requires looking far beyond the final landing spot of the football. Former NFL quarterback Chase Daniel, an individual who spent over a decade navigating professional quarterback rooms, refused to accept the surface-level narrative. He took the high-resolution coaching film, isolated the exact sequence of that interception, and analyzed the mechanics from multiple camera angles more than 30 consecutive times. He was not looking at the wide receiver or the defensive coverage. He was studying the micromechanics of the throwing hand, the timing of the kinetic chain, and the precise behavior of the football from the moment it touched the quarterback's palms. What the ultra-slow-motion end-zone angle revealed was a tiny, easily missed physical detail that completely alters the entire context of that throw. As Sanders reached the apex of his dropback and prepared to transfer his weight forward, the football visibly rotated and repositioned in his hand not just once, but twice in rapid succession. To an untrained observer who has never operated in a professional pocket, that micro-adjustment might look like nervous indecision or random fidgeting before the release. But to a seasoned professional quarterback, Those two rapid rotations represent an immediate physical distress response. Sanders was desperately trying to locate a dry, textured patch of leather on a ball that had suddenly turned completely slick. When a quarterback drops back to pass, the entire throwing motion is built entirely on muscle memory and sensory feedback from the fingertips and thumb. The split-second double rotation seen on the film proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Sanders detected an immediate loss of traction the moment he gathered the snap. Under normal conditions, a passer catches the ball, seats his fingers across the laces, and delivers the pass in one seamless, unbroken motion. The fact that Sanders had to manipulate the football twice within a fraction of a second reveals that the surface of the ball was compromised. Chase Daniel emphasized that what made this play so fascinating on tape was not the bad outcome, but the incredible cognitive processing Sanders displayed under immense duress. A less experienced or panicked quarterback in that exact scenario would have done one of two things. Either he would have failed to recognize the lack of grip and thrown an even more wildly out-of-control pass, or he would have hesitated, held the ball, and absorbed a devastating sack from an incoming pass rusher. Sanders instantly diagnosed the physical compromise, attempted two separate mechanical corrections in the middle of his dropback to find usable traction, and still delivered the ball on schedule to prevent a negative play in the pocket. The corrective adjustment simply ran out of time against the incoming rush, resulting in a release that was mechanically altered by the slick surface of the leather. To truly comprehend how a football can suddenly become unmanageable in the middle of a clean pocket, you have to examine the microscopic physics of modern football construction and the intense physical realities of line play. A regulation NFL football is crafted from treated cowhide leather featuring a carefully engineered pebbled surface and raised laces. These ridges and bumps are not aesthetic design choices. They exist to create the precise coefficient of friction required for the human hand to generate high rotational velocity. When a quarterback throws a pass, he does not squeeze the ball with pure grip strength. Instead, the throw is controlled through a delicate balance of downward finger pressure and stabilizing counterpressure applied by the thumb. The thumb acts as the foundational anchor for the entire aerodynamic flight path of the pass. During an intense August training camp practice or an extended exhibition game, the physical demands placed on interior linemen are extreme. Centers and offensive guards are engaged in violent, hand-to-hand collisions on every single snap, producing immense amounts of bodily sweat that quickly saturates their hands, wrists, and forearm tape. The center is continually handling the football before every snap, transferring concentrated layers of perspiration directly onto the leather. This moisture does not distribute evenly across the surface of the ball. It forms slick, invisible barriers precisely on the panels where the center grips the ball during the snap. When the football is snapped, it rotates into the quarterback's palms. If that concentrated patch of center sweat happens to align with the exact spot where the quarterback's throwing thumb must plant, the kinetic integrity of the throw is destroyed. As the quarterback drives forward and snaps his wrist, the thumb slips across the wet leather by only a few millimeters. In the precise biomechanics of throwing a football, an error of a single millimeter at the point of release alters the launch angle significantly. By the time that football travels 25 to 30 yards down the field, that tiny sliver of thumb slippage translates into 3 to 4 full feet of vertical deviation, causing what looks like an inexplicable overthrow. This is the exact reason why the greatest passers in the history of the sport have always been completely neurotic regarding the physical preparation and condition of their footballs. Peyton Manning was famous for spending hours with team equipment managers meticulously rubbing down footballs with specialized brushes and moisture-wicking compounds to ensure every single ball possessed uniform tackiness under all playing conditions. Aaron Rodgers has publicly broken down how even the slightest change in humidity or leather moisture drastically alters his release point and throwing trajectory. Tom Brady was the central figure in an entire multi-million-dollar league controversy that revolved entirely around the microscopic feel, air pressure, and grip characteristics of the football. If the most accomplished quarterbacks in the history of the game openly admit that minor variations in leather friction can completely ruin a pass, pretending that a documented slick ball is simply an invalid excuse completely ignores the laws of physical science. Understanding these technical biomechanical realities is what makes Gridiron Ground completely unique in the digital football space. You see, on Gridiron Ground, we believe that true fans deserve the raw truth backed by scientific and tactical evidence rather than reactionary media narratives. If you appreciate this level of detailed, objective film study, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now to lock in with Gridiron Ground, so you never fall victim to the superficial narratives that flood the sports landscape every single week. The tape makes it indisputable that the errant trajectory of that viral pass was dictated by physical friction failure rather than a mental misread of the coverage. The quarterback correctly identified the coverage, found the open receiver within the timing of the play design, and made the correct aggressive decision. Yet, despite the clear mechanical and physical evidence validating the play, the local media ecosystem was already moving in a completely different direction, driven by a growing sense of frustration that has been simmering in Cleveland for years. While the technical analysis of the film was providing clear answers for football purists, the local sports...
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Talk radio landscape in Cleveland was rapidly reaching a boiling point of cognitive exhaustion. Over the past several years, the local media market has been subjected to endless cycles of quarterback controversies, unprecedented financial commitments, and persistent instability at the most important position on the field. Because of that tumultuous history, a segment of the local media has developed an intense, palpable fatigue toward any analysis that attempts to offer context or explanations whenever a negative play occurs on the practice field. This media frustration recently reached a dramatic peak when a well-known local radio host launched into an extended monologue dissecting the quarterback's situation. The host openly expressed his profound weariness with what he characterized as an endless stream of intellectual justifications for every single mistake. In his eyes, the public discourse had devolved into a predictable pattern where every flawed rep was immediately met with a specialized defense. If a pass sailed into traffic, it was attributed to an intense pass rush. If a throw was intercepted, it was blamed on a slick football. If an incompletion hit the turf, it was described as a route miscommunication. The host sarcastically joked that commentators were running out of environmental variables to blame, suggesting that the analysis was becoming an exercise in avoiding the obvious truth. What made this media host's perspective particularly fascinating and worthy of serious examination was his complete transparency regarding his personal biases. He made it abundantly clear to his listeners that he had been vehemently opposed to the organization making the massive blockbuster trade for Deshaun Watson years ago. Furthermore, he explicitly stated that he has no emotional desire or personal rooting interest to see Watson succeed or remain the starting quarterback for this franchise. That level of raw, unfiltered honesty is remarkably rare in modern sports commentary, where many analysts pretend to operate from a position of total neutrality while secretly harboring personal agendas. Despite his open distaste for the veteran's contract and presence on the roster, the host delivered an unvarnished evaluation based purely on what he had witnessed on the practice field throughout training camp. In his estimation, Watson had simply operated the offensive system with greater operational consistency from snap to snap compared to his younger counterparts. He argued that Watson's ability to process the playbook and distribute the ball within the structure of the offense gave him a tangible edge in the competition. The host concluded that while Shedeur undeniably possesses electric natural talent and will almost certainly earn his opportunity to lead the franchise at some point in the near future, handing him the starting job immediately for the season opener would be a rushed decision that ignores the day-to-day realities of camp performance. This sharp divide perfectly encapsulates the psychological warfare currently taking place across the fan base and the media landscape. On one hand, you have a passionate group of supporters and tape analysts who demand that every single play be judged with complete forensic context, taking into account physical mechanics, equipment failures, and pocket conditions. On the other hand, you have a battle-tested, weary media corps that is entirely burnt out on complex justifications and simply demands consistent on-field execution without any accompanying excuses. Both perspectives stem from real football emotions, but when the frustration over hearing explanations causes analysts to dismiss legitimate physical evidence on the tape, the overall quality of the evaluation breaks down completely. The massive public reaction to this single preseason interception puts a bright spotlight on one of the most pervasive cognitive biases in professional sports analysis: the interpretation penalty. This psychological double standard dictates that the exact same physical mistake on a football field is evaluated in completely opposite ways, depending entirely on the age, pedigree, and public perception of the quarterback who made the throw. It creates a dynamic where young, polarizing signal callers are subjected to the harshest possible judgment, while established veterans are routinely afforded the benefit of the doubt on identical errors. Consider the wildly different media reactions when an accomplished veteran quarterback throws a disastrous interception. If a seasoned passer like Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen throws a pass directly into the chest of an underneath linebacker or overshoots a boundary target by 5 yards, the incident is instantly framed as an acceptable byproduct of an aggressive, gunslinger mentality. Commentators describe it as a calculated risk, a momentary lapse in mechanical discipline, or simply a great athletic play by the defense. The consensus narrative is that the turnover is an isolated data point that does not diminish the player's underlying elite capability or his command of the offense. Now examine the immediate narrative shift when a rookie or a young prospect like Shedeur Sanders makes the exact same error. The moment the ball hits the ground or lands in a defender's hands, the mistake is instantly transformed into a sweeping referendum on his entire football identity. The analysis immediately shifts from a simple technical critique to existential questioning. Is he mentally capable of reading professional coverage schemes? Is the speed of the NFL game too overwhelming for him? Did the franchise make an irreparable mistake by investing their draft capital and future in him? This double standard ignores the reality that playing quarterback in the modern NFL is an inherently imperfect, chaotic endeavor. Every single quarterback who has ever stepped between the lines, from first-ballot Hall of Famers to career backups, has experienced catastrophic throws caused by mechanical breakdowns, wet footballs, and misread coverages. The idea that a single preseason interception should serve as a definitive verdict on a young player's professional trajectory is an intellectually lazy approach designed to generate social media engagement rather than authentic football analysis. Compounding this analytical double standard is the severe mathematical limitation of training camp sample sizes. In the contemporary NFL, collective bargaining restrictions have drastically reduced the volume of full-contact practice reps. Quarterbacks are operating in tightly controlled, scripted sessions against their own defensive teammates, who have spent weeks studying the exact formations, cadences, and play calls of the offense, making definitive declarations that one quarterback has decisively won or lost a position battle based on a tiny sample of practice reps is the statistical equivalent of drawing sweeping conclusions about a baseball player's season based on a single 3-game series in April. The sample is far too small and noisy to provide an absolute truth, yet the mainstream commentary presents these preliminary glimpses as settled reality. Whenever a high-stakes quarterback competition unfolds in the shadow of unprecedented financial commitments, speculation naturally shifts toward the private motivations of the front office and ownership. In recent weeks, numerous unverified rumors, online fan theories, and speculative media segments have suggested that the Browns' organizational leadership might be subtly steering the narrative to ensure their highly paid veteran retains the starting role. The theory posits that the franchise cannot afford the catastrophic public relations and financial embarrassment of benching an asset tied to an unprecedented, fully guaranteed contract, and therefore the coaching staff is allegedly grading the competition on an uneven playing field. When evaluating these speculative claims, it is vital to maintain strict objectivity and separate unverified rumors from observable operational facts. Speculative theories regarding backroom politics and narrative manipulation are inherently attractive because they provide high-stakes drama for online debates. However, there is no verified internal reporting or concrete proof confirming that the starting quarterback decision has already been finalized behind closed doors, or that Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff are conducting anything other than a legitimate, rigorous evaluation of their quarterback room. The most reliable method for understanding a front office's true intentions is not to listen to external rumors, but to closely track their actual roster transactions. If an organization was truly motivated to suppress a young quarterback's opportunity and construct a scenario where he looked inadequate during live competition, they would not invest real cap space and roster spots into signing players specifically tailored to his operational needs. The signing of tight end German Terrill II serves as undeniable physical proof that the front office is actively working to maximize Shedeur's chances of success on the field. A front office that has already written off a young player does not aggressively scout, sign, and install a physically imposing, run-blocking tight end days before that young player takes the field for his debut start. They provide that specific personnel package because they recognize that an inexperienced quarterback requires strong edge protection and dependable underneath targets to survive against a hostile defensive scheme. The organization's tangible actions demonstrate an authentic commitment to giving Sanders the exact physical tools necessary to operate the offense efficiently and demonstrate his full potential under live conditions. Furthermore, the coaching staff's willingness to give Sanders extensive reps against a top-tier defensive unit like the Buffalo Bills directly contradicts the idea that the competition is an artificial formality. If the franchise simply wanted to protect the status quo, they would minimize Sanders' live exposure, manage his public perception carefully, and quietly name the veteran as the starter without taking any competitive risks. Instead, they are elevating the stakes, putting Sanders directly into the fire against one of the most sophisticated defensive systems in professional football, and letting his performance dictate the future of the depth chart. As the kickoff against the Buffalo Bills draws near, all the external media drama, talk radio exhaustion, and viral internet debates fade into absolute irrelevance. The only thing that matters is the 60 minutes of live football that will unfold on the field. For Shedeur Sanders, this matchup against Buffalo is not just an ordinary exhibition game. It represents the most critical live evaluation of his entire football life. The Buffalo Bills defense, masterminded by McDermott, is widely recognized as one of the most intellectually challenging schemes for any young quarterback to decode. Buffalo does not rely on simple, predictable coverage structures. They specialize in showing two high safety looks before rotating into single high coverage at the snap, disguising blitz packages with interior linebackers, and utilizing simulated pressures designed to trick a young passer into making an inaccurate pre-snap read. Their entire defensive philosophy is engineered to force an inexperienced quarterback to hesitate for a split second in the pocket, allowing their defensive front to collapse the protection and force catastrophic turnovers. Deconstructing these complex defensive game plans is why you should always remain locked into Gridiron ground. When the final whistle blows on Sunday, the mainstream networks will only show you the highlight touchdowns and the turnovers, but right here on Gridiron ground, we will provide you with an exhaustive, drive-by-drive breakdown of every protection call, every coverage read, and every mechanical adjustment made on the field. If you want to understand the true chess match of elite football, hit the subscribe button right now and make Gridiron Ground your official headquarters for deep football film study. To earn the trust of the coaching staff and silence his critics, Sanders does not need to deliver a flawless, highlight reel performance filled with miraculous deep passes. True success for a young quarterback against a defense as formidable as Buffalo is measured through operational command and discipline. Success means walking up to the line of scrimmage, correctly identifying the defensive front, setting the appropriate pass protection, and checking into the correct run play when the defense presents a light box. It means displaying the maturity to take the 5-yard underneath checkdown to his tight end on second down rather than forcing a high-risk throw into double coverage down the sideline. It means demonstrating quiet, disciplined pocket movement, keeping his eyes fixed downfield through the progression, and having the internal clock to throw the ball away safely when the pass rush wins the rep. If an interception happens on a tipped ball at the line of scrimmage or a misjudged 50-50 jump ball down the field, it is not an automatic failure. What truly matters to NFL decision makers is that the operational process, the mechanical foundation, and the cognitive processing remain exceptionally sharp under intense defensive pressure. The sprawling history of the National Football League is overflowing with Hall of Fame quarterbacks whose legendary careers began with miserable, mistake-filled preseason outings, just as it is filled with forgotten passers who looked like absolute superstars in August only to vanish the moment real regular season games commenced. Preseason football is fundamentally an operational laboratory. It is a controlled environment specifically designed for coaching staffs to push players to their physical limits, test schematic concepts, and allow young players to make mistakes and learn how to adjust to the astonishing speed of professional defenders. The viral interception that triggered weeks of chaotic social media debates was never a failure of football intelligence or courage. It was a mechanically compromised throw caused by an extreme physical variable, executed by a young quarterback whose instincts prompted him to attempt an immediate corrective adjustment under live pocket pressure. At the same time, the local media's exhaustion with endless contextual excuses reflects the massive, suffocating pressure that always accompanies the quarterback position in an intensely passionate football city that has spent decades searching for a permanent franchise savior. The Cleveland Browns have engineered this specific moment with absolute precision. By actively reinforcing the roster with physical supporting pieces like German Terrill II and placing Sanders into the starting lineup against a premier defensive opponent, the organization is demanding definitive answers under the brightest lights. They are bypassing the talking heads, ignoring the online narratives, and letting the raw game tape provide the ultimate verdict on who deserves to lead this offense into the regular season. When Sunday arrives, do not get caught up in the emotional highs and lows of a single play. Watch the mechanical consistency, watch the pocket poise, and observe how the young quarterback responds when the game plan inevitably breaks down. The future direction of this franchise is about to be written in real time on the field, and the answers we receive over the next 4 quarters of football could fundamentally reshape the landscape of the entire organization for years to come. The journey through training camp and preseason is never a straight line, and the intense drama currently surrounding the Cleveland Browns quarterback room is a perfect reminder of how quickly narratives can spiral out of control in the modern digital age. We have seen how a single viral clip of an interception can be weaponized by the internet to declare a young quarterback unready, completely ignoring the complex physics of ball moisture, thumb friction, and high-speed mechanical adjustments that elite professionals deal with on every snap. We have also uncovered how the quiet, calculated addition of an undrafted tight end like German Terrill II reveals a coaching staff that is fully committed to building a real, physical infrastructure to support Shedeur Sanders in his biggest test to date against the Buffalo Bills. Sunday afternoon is not merely another exhibition contest on the calendar. It is the ultimate proving ground where manufactured media narratives and talk radio exhaustion will collide with the harsh, undeniable reality of live game film. As you watch this pivotal matchup unfold, remember that true greatness at the quarterback position is forged through adversity, operational discipline, and the resilience to execute when the pocket collapses around you. Keep your eyes locked on the tape, evaluate the process over the raw box score, and get ready for a defining moment that will shape the future of this entire franchise.